One of the things that caught our attention once we had this COVID pandemic actually go about affecting businesses was the fact that how would this affect the sales organization? We already saw a lot of companies beginning to take stock of how they're going to interact with their supplier salespeople, and they started looking at ways by which they could move a lot of things digital. So we set about trying to understand what would this mean for the way an organization would go about trying to use their salespeople to sell, given these trying circumstances. So, together with a professor from University of Miami and a professor from a business school in France, i.e., ACG, we went about interviewing around 30 different executives in sales, plus sales academics from around the world who deal with sales executives. And we went about asking them, how would you go about trying to do business in this COVID world, and what does it mean for the future of the sales profession? And we mostly restricted ourselves to business organizations. And our findings, and when we synthesize the findings from talking to all of these different stakeholders, especially from both academia as well as in the workplace, was the findings mainly categorized into three broad categories. The first category was the fact that most salespeople, as well as sales leaders, felt that given these trying circumstances, we need to start re engaging with our customers. Initially, the purpose was to a lot more reassure the customers about continuity of being able to deliver on your promises to the customer. So, re engaging with the customers was the first thought that went into the thoughts of many sales leaders as well as salespeople that we spoke to. Now, what does this re engagement mean? It actually meant going back and looking at your customer base and asking yourself, amongst all the customers that we have, which customers are the ones that are still operating under these trying circumstances? Which customers are actually in full production mode to meet the needs of the public out there? Or, as we say, which businesses were termed essential? And if you were supplying to those kind of customers, then priority should be shifted from those customers who are unfortunately being forced to take stock of what they're doing and stop production or scale down production, and refocus your attention on those customers where you're doing a lot of business. So continuity would mean different things for different kind of customers. So while you could, of course, focus your attention on these growing businesses or businesses that were continuing to work, it would also mean that you could go with a different value to your customers who unfortunately are not in production mode as much, and offer them a different kind of value by reassuring them that once things come back to normal, you'll go back and serve them better. But in order for you to do this, what sales leaders were talking about is, if I want to re-engage and understand what's happening with my customers, not only should I be looking at how do I classify my customers or how do I segment my different customer segments, but I should also start taking a look at how are the needs of the members in the decision-making unit of my customer changing. So if you have a company that is operating, but because of the fact that they are having issues with finding financing, or if they're having issues with finding raw materials or suppliers, the way you support and create value for them could be different from under normal circumstances. So being able to re-engage with not just the customer as a whole, but with members of the customer's decision-making unit is something that was seen as being extremely valuable. Now, if that first thing was about re-engaging with your customers and let them know about continuity and how you plan to help them, the next thing was that how do I then take all the learnings that I have from resegmenting my markets, trying to identify the different needs of the customers. So the second thing which a sales organization needs to do is take a look at your existing value proposition, a value proposition being why should a customer buy from us instead of the competition. Now ask yourself, is under pre-COVID times, if we had a good value proposition, to what extent is that value proposition still relevant today? Mostly because of the fact that either your competition might have stepped out, or your competition might have stepped up its game, or you could have new competitors coming in from different markets and from different geographies. And last but not the least, the needs of your customers itself are changing. So again, the way of working is going to change, because if I am going to rethink and re-engage with my customers, I should also be in a position to take that knowledge that I'm getting from the customers and make it into something that is valuable for the customers. So I need to rethink my value proposition. And the last thing that an organization needs to understand then is, yes, I've re-engaged with my customers. Yes, I have tried to look at what are my dynamic value propositions to keep in pace with what's happening because of the COVID. But the last thing is the skill set needed by salespeople to engage with the customers. Now, it is very clear that a lot of companies are faced with a situation where the salespeople cannot always go and visit their customers. Hopefully, by the time you're watching this video, the restrictions are being eased. But even otherwise, moving forward, if you take a look at the works by McKinsey and Bain Consulting, that digital is going to become the norm a lot more, even in buying organizations. Then the question is, how digitally savvy is your organization? And more importantly, how digitally savvy are your salespeople? And digital savvy does not mean just using digital tools like Zoom, Teams, but also how to use these new age tools like HubSpot, Marketo in terms of marketing automation and account-based marketing. And how can I use this? How can I use tools like sales enablement to customize my offering to my customers? How do I look at maybe developing new skill sets about trying to be a customer success professional? And all of these are things that an organization, along with a sales profession, needs to be considering. And of course, one of the things that all of you have to keep in mind is that when we talk about all these changes in the way salespeople have to interact with their customers, have to develop dynamic value propositions, have to become digitally savvy, the question is, what does this mean for the sales organization? And organizations that are already in looking at digital transformation now have to speed up the process, but without losing track of the fact that digital transformation for the sake of the technology might not be the right way forward, but any kind of digital transformation that helps your salespeople stay relevant to the customers while living up to the strategy and the mission of your organization is what is critical. I look forward to your thoughts, your questions on this video, and I hope that you stay safe and you continue to grow your business.